June Kim looked up from his work as the first alarm sounded. The lights in the research station flashed red. This was not a drill. Warning: unknown vessels approaching. All personnel to emergency stations. June saved his data on Vorax brain tissue samples and grabbed his emergency pack. He was one of only 12 scientists on Outpost 37, located at the edge of human space. They studied alien biology far from Earth. The station shook. Something had hit them. Through the viewport, June saw them. 3 black ships with sharp edges like knives. Vorax hunters. Everyone in space knew about the Vorax. They attacked ships and stations to collect human brains for study. No one survived their attacks. "They found us," whispered June. He ran toward the escape pods, but another explosion knocked him down. The hallway behind him collapsed. The path to the escape pods was blocked. More explosions. Screams echoed through the station. Then silence. June locked himself in the main lab. His hands shook as he sent a distress signal. It was hopeless. No help would come in time. He prepared himself to die. The station's computer spoke. Hull breach in Section 4. Life support failing. Oxygen levels dropping. June closed his eyes. At least his research data had been sent to Earth last week. His work would help others understand the Vorax better. A new sound filled the air. Weapon fire, but different from before. June looked out the viewport again. A new ship had arrived. It was sleek and silver, with blue lights along its hull. It fired at the Vorax ships with beams of white energy. What the? June watched as the new ship moved with impossible speed, dodging Vorax attacks while destroying 2 enemy ships. The last Vorax vessel retreated into deep space. The lab door burst open. June turned, ready to face death. Instead, he saw her. She was tall, at least 7 feet, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow from within. Her eyes were completely black except for silver irises. She wore a fitted uniform with symbols June didn't recognize. Behind her stood 2 similar beings, holding weapons June had never seen before. "Human," the tall woman said in perfect English. "I am Captain Hannah Kang of the Aryan vessel Talon. Your station is lost. Are there other survivors?" June could barely speak. "I don't know. There were 11 others." Captain Hannah touched a device on her wrist. "Scan for human life signs." One of her crew answered in a musical language. Hannah looked at June with something like pity. "You are the only one left. The Vorax were efficient. We must leave now. The station's reactor will explode soon." Aryan. June had never heard of her species. "Why did you help us?" "The Vorax are our enemies too. Come." June followed them through the broken station. Bodies of his colleagues lay in the hallways. He looked away. On their ship, June collapsed. His lungs burned. He hadn't realized he was breathing toxic fumes on the station. "He's dying," Hannah said to her medical officer. "Vorax poison in his lungs. We cannot save him with standard methods." The medical officer replied in English. "His system is too damaged." Hannah looked at June's face. Something in her expression changed. "Use the life bond procedure." The medical officer looked shocked. "Captain, that has never been done with a human. It would link you permanently. He's the only witness to what happened here, and the only survivor of a direct Vorax attack. We need him." Hannah removed her glove and placed her hand on June's chest. "Do it." June felt a sharp pain as something entered his chest. Blue light spread from Hannah's hand into his body. The pain was unbearable. Then darkness took him. When June woke up, he felt different. Stronger. He could sense someone else's thoughts at the edge of his mind. Hannah stood by his bed. "You're a live human, but there is something you need to know." June tried to sit up. "What did you do to me? I saved you the only way possible. We are now life bonded." She showed him a glowing blue mark on her wrist. June had the same mark on his. "What does that mean?" "It means," she said quietly, that neither of us can ever be separated from the other again. Not while we live. June walked the shiny halls of the Talon, feeling lost. It had been 3 days since his rescue. 3 days since he had been bonded to Captain Hana Kang. "You cannot go more than 100 meters from me," Hana had explained. "If you do, we will both feel great pain. This bond cannot be broken." June stopped at a large window. Stars streaked by as the ship moved faster than light. He thought of Earth, his home. Would he ever see it again? A tall Aryan with dark blue skin approached. This was Da, Hana's second-in-command. His eyes narrowed at June. "The captain wants to see you on the bridge, human," Da said coldly. June nodded and followed. The other Aryans on the ship watched him as he passed. They did not trust him. To them, he was just a weak human who was now a problem for their captain. The bridge of the Talon was a round room, with screens showing space all around. Hana stood in the center, giving orders to her crew. When she saw June, she waved him over. "You studied the Voraks," she said. "What do you know about their ships?" June was surprised by the question. "I studied their biology, not their technology. But you have seen their attack patterns. You are the only human to survive such an attack." June thought about it. "They came in groups of 3. They targeted our engines first, then communication systems." Hana nodded. "Good. What else?" Before June could answer, alarms blared. Red lights flashed on the bridge. "Vorak ships detected," shouted an Aryan at a control panel. 5 vessels approaching fast. Hana moved quickly to her command chair. "Battle stations. Prepare weapons." June watched as the ship prepared for battle. He felt useless. On the main screen, 5 black ships appeared, moving toward them. They were bigger than the ones that had attacked the research station. "They will try to box us in," Hana said. "Standard Vorax tactic." June looked at the star map. "Wait. There's an asteroid field nearby. The Vorak ships are bigger than yours. Can we lead them there?" Hana looked at him with surprise. "The asteroids would damage our shields too." "But your ship is faster and more nimble," June insisted. "You could navigate it better than they can." Hana thought for a moment, then nodded. "Set course for the asteroid field," she ordered. The Talon turned sharply and raced toward a dense field of space rocks. The 5 Vorak ships followed. "They're gaining on us," Da warned. "Hold course," Hana commanded. The ship shook as they entered the asteroid field. Rocks the size of buildings floated all around them. Hana stood up and took manual control of the ship. June watched the rear scanners. "Tell me when the Voraks enter the field." June moved to a screen showing the area behind them. "They're entering now. All 5 ships." Hana's hands moved quickly over the controls. The Talon dipped and spun between asteroids with amazing speed. Behind them, the Vorak ships tried to follow the same path. The first Vorak ship hit an asteroid. June called out. "Its side is damaged." Moments later, another Vorak ship crashed into a large rock. Then another. The last 2 Vorak ships turned around and fled the asteroid field. The bridge crew cheered. Even Da looked impressed. "That was quick thinking," Hana said to June. "You saved us time and resources." June nodded, but suddenly felt dizzy. He put his hand on a wall to steady himself. "What's happening?" he asked. His mind filled with images he didn't recognize. Places he had never seen, people with blue skin like Hana's. Hana touched her chest where the bond mark was hidden under her uniform. "It's the life bond. It's getting stronger. You're seeing my memories." "Your memories?" June asked, confused. "This has never happened with a human before," Hana admitted. "The bond is different with you." Day stepped forward. "Captain, this is dangerous. If he can access your memories, he might learn classified information." "And I might see his memories too," Hana replied, "which is valuable for our mission." June felt angry. "I'm not a tool for your mission. I'm a person who wants to go home." "I understand." Hannah said quietly. But for now, we are bound together. We must make the best of it. She turned to the crew. Set course for Arios. The council will want to meet our human guest. June looked out at the stars. Arios. My homeworld, Hannah explained. And for now, yours too. June stood at the window as the Talon dropped out of light speed. He gasped at what he saw. A planet hung in space before them. It looked like a giant blue-green jewel. Tall crystal towers rose from its surface, reaching toward the stars. Some buildings actually floated in the air, hovering over the ground. Arios, Hannah said, coming to stand beside him. My home. It's beautiful, June admitted. He had never seen anything like it. Even Earth's most impressive cities looked simple compared to this. The Talon descended toward the planet's surface. As they got closer, June saw that the cities were even bigger than he had thought. Crystal bridges connected the towers. Ships of all sizes moved between them. Your people are very advanced, June said. We have existed for over 50,000 years, Hannah replied. Humans have only had space travel for a few centuries. A ship landed on a platform high above the ground. Hannah turned to June. The High Council wants to meet you. They believe they can help us with our situation. June felt hope for the first time in days. They can break the bond. Perhaps, Hannah said, but she didn't sound sure. Day approached them. Captain, your escort is ready. The council is waiting. Outside the ship, 6 tall Aryans in silver uniforms stood at attention. They led Hannah and June to a floating platform that carried them through the city. June looked around in wonder. Aryans walked among gardens that grew upside down. Water flowed up instead of down in fountains. Nothing here followed the rules of Earth. How many humans have seen this place? June asked. None, Hannah replied. You are the first. The platform stopped at the largest tower in the city. Inside, they rode a beam of light upward to the top floor. The council chamber was a round room with 7 seats arranged in a circle. In each seat sat an elderly Aryan with skin so pale it was almost white. Their eyes glowed with inner light. Captain Kang, said one council member. This is the human. Yes, elder son, Hannah bowed. This is Jum Kim, the xenobiologist from Earth Outpost 37. All 7 council members studied June with interest. He felt like a bug under a microscope. Show us the bond, ordered another elder. Hannah pulled back her sleeve, revealing the glowing mark. June did the same. The elders whispered among themselves. Finally, elder son spoke again. We have studied the data. The life bond cannot be broken without killing you both. June's hope died. So I can never go home. Never be more than 100 meters from Captain Kang. There is another option, said a female elder. The ceremony of joining. It would make you partly Aryan. The bond would remain, but you would gain greater freedom of movement. What does that mean, partly Aryan? June asked. Your DNA would be altered, she explained. You would gain some of our abilities. Extended life, enhanced strength, some telepathic capacity. You would be the first human to join our society officially. June stepped back. You want to change what I am? No, I want to go home, to Earth. I want to be human. The elders looked surprised by his refusal. One of them stood up angrily. Captain Kang, you brought this alien here expecting special treatment. The bond was your mistake. Your judgment is now in question. Hannah's face showed no emotion, but June could feel her distress through their bond. I apologize, elders, she said formally. But this human has valuable knowledge about the Vorax. He helped us escape a recent attack. The elders whispered again. Finally, elder son nodded. The human may stay on Arios under your supervision, Captain. He will be studied. Perhaps he will change his mind about the joining. As they left the council chamber, Jun noticed strange markings on a wall. They looked familiar somehow. What is that writing? He asked Hannah. She glanced at it. Ancient records, stories of other worlds we have visited. June looked closer. One symbol looked exactly like Earth. "Have your people been to Earth before?" he asked. Hannah didn't answer. She led him back to the floating platform. "The council knows more about humans than they're telling me," June said. "Don't they?" Hannah's silver eyes met his. "There are many things you don't know about the relationship between our worlds, Jung Kim. Some of them would frighten you." "Try me," he challenged. "Not yet," she said. "But soon, you will need to know everything. Because the war with the Orcs is coming to your home, and we may be the only ones who can stop it." June stood at the window as the Talon dropped out of light speed. He gasped at what he saw. A planet hung in space before them. It looked like a giant blue-green jewel. Tall crystal towers rose from its surface, reaching toward the stars. Some buildings actually floated in the air, hovering over the ground. "Arios," Hannah said, coming to stand beside him. "My home." "It's beautiful," June admitted. He had never seen anything like it. Even Earth's most impressive cities looked simple compared to this. The Talon descended toward the planet's surface. As they got closer, June saw that the cities were even bigger than he had thought. Crystal bridges connected the towers. Ships of all sizes moved between them. "Your people are very advanced," June said. "We have existed for over 50,000 years," Hannah replied. "Humans have only had space travel for a few centuries." The ship landed on a platform high above the ground. Hannah turned to June. "The High Council wants to meet you. They believe they can help us with our situation." June felt hope for the first time in days. "They can break the bond." "Perhaps," Hannah said, but she didn't sound sure. Day approached them. "Captain, your escort is ready. The council is waiting." Outside the ship, 6 tall Aryans in silver uniforms stood at attention. They led Hannah and June to a floating platform that carried them through the city. June looked around in wonder. Aryans walked among gardens that grew upside down. Water flowed up instead of down in fountains. Nothing here followed the rules of Earth. "How many humans have seen this place?" June asked. "None," Hannah replied. "You are the first." The platform stopped at the largest tower in the city. Inside, they rode a beam of light upward to the top floor. The council chamber was a round room with 7 seats arranged in a circle. In each seat sat an elderly Aryan with skin so pale it was almost white. Their eyes glowed with inner light. "Captain Kang," said one council member. "This is the human." "Yes, elder son," Hannah bowed. "This is Jung Kim, the xenobiologist from Earth Outpost 37. All 7 council members studied June with interest. He felt like a bug under a microscope. "Show us the bond," ordered another elder. Hannah pulled back her sleeve, revealing the glowing mark. June did the same. The elders whispered among themselves. Finally, elder son spoke again. "We have studied the data. The life bond cannot be broken without killing you both." June's hope died. "So I can never go home. Never be more than 100 meters from Captain Kang." "There is another option," said a female elder. "The ceremony of joining. It would make you partly Aryan. The bond would remain, but you would gain greater freedom of movement." "What does that mean, partly Aryan?" June asked. "Your DNA would be altered," she explained. "You would gain some of our abilities. Extended life. Enhanced strength. Some telepathic capacity. You would be the first human to join our society officially." June stepped back. "You want to change what I am?" "No. I want to go home. To Earth. I want to be human." The elders looked surprised by his refusal. One of them stood up angrily. "Captain Kang, you brought this alien here expecting special treatment. The bond was your mistake. Your judgment is now in question." Hannah's face showed no emotion, but June could feel her distress through their bond. "I apologize, elders," she said formally. "But this human has valuable knowledge about the Orcs. He helped us escape a recent attack." The elders whispered again. Finally, elder son nodded. "The human may stay on Arios under your supervision, Captain. He will be studied. Perhaps he will change his mind about the joining. As they left the council chamber, Jun noticed strange markings on a wall. They looked familiar somehow. "What is that writing?" he asked Hana. She glanced at it. "Ancient records. Stories of other worlds we have visited." Jun looked closer. One symbol looked exactly like Earth. "Have your people been to Earth before?" he asked. Hana didn't answer. She led him back to the floating platform. "The council knows more about humans than they're telling me," Jun said. "Don't they?" Hana's silver eyes met his. "There are many things you don't know about the relationship between our worlds, Jun Kim. Some of them would frighten you." "Try me," he challenged. "Not yet," she said. "But soon you will need to know everything. Because the war with the Vorax is coming to your home, and we may be the only ones who can stop it." The medical bay on the Talon was quiet except for the soft beep of machines. Hana lay on a bed, her blue skin paler than usual. The wound from the Vorax weapon was healing slowly. Jun sat beside her, worried. Even though the mission had been successful, they had lost Ta. Min was badly injured. And Hana, "You should rest," said the Aryan doctor. "The captain will recover. It may take a few days." "I'll stay," Jun said. He could feel Hana's pain through their bond. Being close to her seemed to help. When the doctor left, Jun looked around. The medical bay was empty. This might be his only chance. For days, he had wondered about the truth. Why had the Vorax attacked his research station? Why did Hana happen to be there at that exact moment? It felt like too much of a coincidence. Jun touched the computer panel on the wall. He didn't have access to restricted files, but maybe. He placed his hand on the screen and concentrated, remembering how he had accessed Aryan abilities during the mission. His fingers tingled, and the screen changed. Suddenly, he could see files that should have been hidden from him. Jun searched for information about his research station. A file appeared, a mission report from Captain Hana Kang. He opened it and began to read. His heart beat faster with each word. Operation Human Shield. Subject Jun Kim has been under observation for 14 months. His genetic structure shows immunity to Vorax mental control. Recommend immediate extraction before Vorax forces capture him. Value to Aryan defense. Maximum. Jun stepped back from the screen. They had been watching him, studying him. He wasn't rescued by chance. Hana had been sent to find him. He continued searching, opening file after file. There were pictures of him working at the research station, sleeping in his quarters, eating in the cafeteria. They had been monitoring everything he did. When Jun heard footsteps, he quickly closed the files. Dai entered the medical bay. "The captain is improving," Dai said. "She wants to speak with you when she wakes." Jun nodded, trying to hide his anger. When Dai left, Jun returned to Hana's bedside. Hours passed. Finally, Hana's eyes opened. Her silver irises focused on Jun. "We did it," she whispered. "We got the battle plans." "Yes, we did," Jun replied coldly. "Operation Human Shield was a success, wasn't it?" Hana's eyes widened. "You found the files. You lied to me. You were watching me long before the Vorax attacked." Hana tried to sit up, wincing in pain. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it? Tell me the truth. All of it." Hana sighed. "Yes, we were monitoring you. Your DNA contains a rare genetic sequence. You're naturally immune to Vorax telepathic control. We've been searching for that trait for decades. So you used me." "We protected you," Hana corrected. "The Vorax were coming for you. They knew about your immunity too. They wanted to study you, take your genetic material to find a way around the immunity." "Why didn't you just tell me this from the beginning?" Jun demanded. "Would you have believed me? Would you have trusted an alien race you never knew existed?" Jun thought about it. She was probably right. "The life bond," he said. "Was that planned too?" "No," Hana answered quickly. "That was my decision alone. You were dying. I couldn't let that happen." Her voice softened. My mission was to monitor you, yes. But what I feel now is different. June wasn't sure what to believe. Through their bond, he sensed no deception, only regret and something else, a feeling he couldn't name. I need some time to think, he said, standing up. June left the medical bay and walked through the ship. His mind was racing. He found himself at a docking bay where small ships were kept. A plan formed in his mind. He could take one of these ships, try to get back to human space, but as soon as he stepped toward the ships, pain shot through his chest. The life bond. He couldn't go far from Hannah. He fell to his knees, gasping for breath. The pain was unbearable. It won't work, said a voice behind him. June turned to see Hannah, leaning against the doorway. She looked weak but determined. You shouldn't be out of bed, he said. I felt your pain. She walked slowly toward him. I felt your decision to leave. The pain subsided as she got closer. June stood up. I don't know what to believe anymore, he admitted. Believe this, Hannah said. She took his hand and placed it over her heart. What started as a mission became something more. I care what happens to you, Jung Kim. Not because of your genetic immunity, not because of the life bond, but because of who you are. Through their connection, Jun felt the truth of her words. He also felt her fear, not for herself, but for him and what was coming. The Voraks are still coming for you, she said quietly, and they won't stop until they have what they want. The Aryan war room was filled with high-ranking officers. They stood around a large table that showed a 3D map of space. Red dots marked Vorak ships moving toward human colonies. June watched from the side of the room. It had been 2 days since he learned the truth about his rescue. He was still angry, but the danger to Earth was more important now. Hannah stood at the head of the table. The battle plans we retrieved show that the Voraks will attack here, here, and here, she said, pointing to 3 spots on the map. They plan to capture humans for study. An older Aryan named General Park shook his head. Our standard tactics will not work. The Voraks have adapted to our attack patterns. June stepped forward. May I speak? All eyes turned to him. Some Aryans looked annoyed that a human would interrupt. Hannah nodded. Go ahead. The Voraks think as one mind, June said. They always follow the same patterns because they all think the same way. But humans don't fight like that. We use unpredictable tactics. What are you suggesting? Asked General Park. Use human military history as a guide, Jun said. He moved to the map. Look, the Voraks always attack in groups of 3 or 5. They expect you to meet them with equal strength. But what if you divided your forces differently? What if some ships attacked from behind while others distracted them from the front? The room was quiet. Then one Aryan officer laughed. Human military tactics are primitive. The Voraks would see through them easily. No, they wouldn't, June insisted. They can predict Aryan behavior because you fought the same way for centuries. But human tactics change constantly. They've never had to adapt to our style of fighting. Hannah studied the map. He may be right. The Voraks predict our moves because they understand our thought patterns. A human approach might confuse them. General Park looked skeptical, but nodded. Show us what you mean. For the next hour, June explained strategies from Earth's military history, surprise attacks, ambushes, divide, and conquer tactics. Slowly, the Aryan officers began to see merit in his ideas. By the end, even General Park was impressed. We will adapt our battle plans using these human strategies, he announced. Captain Kang, work with the human to develop the details. As the meeting ended, Jun felt proud. For the first time since being brought to Arios, he had contributed something valuable. But not everyone was pleased. As June walked down a corridor later that day, 3 Aryan officers blocked his path. Human, one said coldly, you think you can come to our world and tell us how to fight our wars? I was only trying to help, Jun replied, backing away. "We don't need human help," said another officer. "Our civilization was great when your people were still living in caves." The third officer stepped forward with something in his hand, a small device that glowed red. "This will end the life bond," he said. "It will also end your life, but that's a small price to free Captain Kang from being tied to a primitive creature." June turned to run, but they grabbed him. He struggled, but Aryans were much stronger than humans. The officer pressed the device against June's chest, over his bond mark. Pain shot through his body. Suddenly, the Aryans were thrown back by an invisible force. Hannah stood at the end of the corridor, her hand raised, her eyes glowing with anger. "You dare attack someone under my protection," she said, her voice cold with fury. Guards appeared and took the three officers away. Hannah helped June stand. "Are you hurt?" she asked. "I'll be fine," he said, though his chest still burned. "How did you know I was in trouble?" "The bond. I felt your fear." She looked at the device on the floor. "That would have killed you. And probably me as well." June realized something important. Not everyone wants this alliance to work. "No," Hannah agreed, "but some do." She led him down another corridor to a small laboratory. Inside, a female Aryan with light purple skin was working. "June, this is Sue. She's a scientist who studies humans." Sue bowed slightly. "I've been hoping to meet you. You're not the only human the Aryans have collected." June's eyes widened. "There are others?" Sue nodded. 5 others. They're being kept in a research facility. Not as guests like you, as specimens. "That's against our laws," Hannah said, looking shocked. "Some members of the council believe humans are too dangerous to be treated as equals," Sue explained. "They fear what would happen if humans learned about us." June looked at Hannah. "We have to help them." Hannah was quiet for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, but it won't be easy. We'll be going against the council." "Is that a problem?" June asked. Hannah's silver eyes met his. "I'm already bound to you for life, Jum Kim. What's a little treason to add to that?" Sue smiled. "I can help you get into the facility. But be careful. This might be the start of something bigger than any of us." As they left Sue's lab, an alarm sounded throughout the city. A voice came over the speakers. "Attention all citizens. Long-range sensors have detected a Vorax fleet approaching Earth. The invasion has begun." "We have to go to Earth," Jum said, pacing in Hannah's quarters. "My people don't know what's coming. They can't fight the Vorax alone." Hannah watched him, her silver eyes troubled. "The Council has forbidden direct contact with Earth. They fear mass panic if humans see us. But you told me some human governments already know about you." "A few leaders, yes, but the general population doesn't." June stopped pacing. "People are going to die, Hannah. Millions of them. Is keeping your secret worth that?" Hannah was quiet for a long moment. Then she straightened her shoulders. "No, it's not." She touched a panel on the wall. "Die, prepare the Talon for immediate departure. Set course for Earth." Day's voice came through the speaker. "Captain, the Council. I know what the Council ordered. This is my decision. I'll face the consequences later." "Yes, Captain," Day replied, though he sounded unsure. Hannah turned to June. "This will be the first official Aryan visit to Earth. I hope your people don't shoot us down before we can explain." 3 days later, the Talon entered Earth's solar system. Hannah stood on the bridge, watching the blue planet grow larger on the screen. "We're being scanned by Earth defense systems," reported an officer. "They've detected us. Multiple weapons are targeting our ship." "Open communications," Hannah ordered. "All frequencies." June stepped forward. "This is Dr. Jum Kim of Earth Outpost 37. I'm aboard the Aryan vessel Talon. We come in peace with urgent information about an alien attack force heading toward Earth. Please respond." For several minutes, there was only silence. Then a voice came through. "Dr. Kim, this is General Wilson of the United Earth Defense Force." We believed you were dead. Your research station was destroyed 3 months ago. I survived, Jun said. The Aryans rescued me. They're allies, General. We need to meet with Earth's leaders immediately. More silence. Then, a landing zone will be provided. Coordinates are being transmitted. Be advised that we will shoot down your vessel if you deviate from the approved flight path. Understood, Jun replied. Hannah looked at him. They don't sound very welcoming. They're scared, Jun explained. This is humanity's first confirmed contact with aliens that the public will know about. It's a big deal. The Talon descended through Earth's atmosphere. Below, Jun could see a large military base surrounded by armed vehicles and soldiers. So many weapons, Dai muttered. These humans are very aggressive. They're just being careful, Jun said. Try not to look too threatening. When the ship landed, they were met by 50 soldiers with weapons pointed at them. A tall man in a military uniform approached. Dr. Kim, he asked. Jun nodded. General Wilson, I presume. This is Captain Hannah Kang of the Aryan Fleet. Wilson looked at Hannah with a mixture of awe and suspicion. You're the first alien to officially visit Earth. Some people are going to be very excited. Others will be terrified. We don't have time for either reaction, Hannah said. The Vorax fleet will reach your outer colonies in less than 7 days. Wilson frowned. Vorax. Let's talk inside, Jun suggested, noticing news cameras gathering in the distance. In a secure meeting room, Jun and Hannah faced 12 grim-faced military and government leaders from different countries. What exactly are these Vorax? Asked a woman introduced as President Lee. Hannah touched a device on her wrist. A hologram appeared showing a Vorax ship and soldiers. They harvest sentient species, she explained, particularly their neural tissue. Another leader spoke up. Why should we believe this? Why would these Vorax suddenly target Earth now? Jun stepped forward. Because of me. My research on neural mapping gave them valuable information. And now they want more humans to study. So this is your fault, someone accused. No, Hannah said firmly. The Vorax have been watching Earth for decades. They would have come eventually. Show them, Jun whispered to Hannah. Hannah hesitated, then pressed another button on her device. A new hologram appeared, a recording of Vorax soldiers cutting open still-living captives, removing their brains. Several people looked away. President Lee's face paled. Turn it off, please. Hannah stopped the recording. This is what's coming to Earth, unless we work together. General Wilson leaned forward. What do you propose? A joint defense, Hannah said. Aryan ships combined with Earth's forces. You're one ship, another general pointed out. How many more are coming? None yet, Hannah admitted. I'd made this decision without my government's approval. The room erupted in angry voices. Accusations of deception flew around the table. Jun raised his hand. Captain Kang saved my life. She risked everything to come here and warn us. Yes, she's just one ship now, but she can teach us how to fight the Vorax. President Lee studied them both. Dr. Kim, why are you with her? Why didn't she just send you with a message? Jun looked at Hannah. He hadn't planned to explain their bond, but now he had no choice. To save my life, Captain Kang and I were connected through an Aryan medical procedure. We can't be separated by large distances, but that connection has allowed us to share knowledge and abilities. Jun concentrated, letting the bond's power flow through him. His skin took on a slight blue glow, not as strong as on the Vorax ship, but noticeable. The room fell silent. What are you becoming, Dr. Kim? President Lee asked quietly. I'm still human, Jun said, but I've learned that humans and Aryans can work together in ways neither of us imagined. That's what we need now. Cooperation, not suspicion. After a long pause, President Lee nodded. We'll hear your plan, Captain Kang. But know this, if your Vorax don't show up, there will be questions about why you've really come to Earth. As they left the meeting, Jun sensed a new emotion from Hana. "You're afraid," he said, surprised. "I've never felt that from you before." "Not for myself," she replied. "For all of us. The Voraks are coming, Jun, and I fear neither of our worlds is truly ready." Aryan defensive technology and battle tactics. Jun had helped Earth scientists understand Voraks biology and weaknesses. "They're targeting our communication satellites first," Hana observed. "Standard Voraks tactic." General Wilson nodded. "Just as you predicted. Our ships are moving to protect them." A message alert sounded. An Aryan face appeared on the main screen. "Captain Kang," said elder son of the Aryan Council. "You disobeyed direct orders." "Yes, Elder," Hana replied, standing tall. "I did what I believed necessary." "It seems you were right," the Elder admitted. "The Voraks have also attacked Arios. A massive fleet appeared in our home system 1 hour ago." Jun stepped forward. "They're attacking both worlds at once." Elder Son's eyes widened at seeing Jun. "The human speaks in our presence. He has earned that right," Hana said firmly. "What is the situation on Arios?" "Critical. The Voraks have deployed a new weapon. It disrupts our telepathic abilities. Our ships cannot coordinate their attacks. We are losing." Hana looked shocked. "But our telepathic network is the core of our defense." "That's why they attacked both worlds at once," Jun realized. "They knew you'd be vulnerable without your telepathy. And they knew Earth wouldn't have your technology yet." "We need help," Elder Son said, his pride clearly wounded by having to ask. "The Council has authorized me to request Earth's assistance." General Wilson laughed bitterly. "We can barely defend our own planet. How can we help yours?" Jun suddenly grabbed Hana's arm. "The bond. My human DNA combined with your Aryan biology. That's why the Voraks wanted me. I'm immune to their telepathic control. What if I'm also immune to whatever they're using against the Aryans?" Hana's eyes widened. "You might be able to restore our network. But we'd need to strengthen the bond first," Jun said. "Make it complete." Elder Son leaned forward. "The final joining? With a human? It's never been done." "What's a final joining?" General Wilson asked suspiciously. "It would permanently complete our life bond," Hana explained. "Jun would become partly Aryan in biology. I would gain some human traits. The result is unpredictable. But if it works," Jun added, "we might be able to create a countermeasure against the Voraks weapon." General Wilson frowned. "You want to become more alien. Kim, Earth needs you human." "Earth needs to survive," Jun replied. "And so does Arios. This might be the only way to save both worlds." A massive explosion rocked the ship. 3 Earth vessels had been destroyed by a single Voraks blast. "We're running out of time," Hana said. "Elder Son, can you send the joining protocol to my ship?" "It will be done," Elder Son replied. "May the stars guide you both." As the Elder's image disappeared, General Wilson sighed. "I hope you know what you're doing, Kim." The medical bay on the Talon was prepared for the procedure. Jun lay on one bed, Hana on another. Between them stood a device that glowed with blue energy. "This will hurt," Hana warned, "more than anything you've ever felt." Jun nodded. "I understand. If it works, our minds will be fully connected. Our abilities shared, but there's a risk that we'll lose ourselves." Jun finished her thought. "Become something neither human nor Aryan." Hana reached across and took his hand. "Are you sure?" Jun thought of Earth, of Arios, of the billions of lives at stake. "Yes." Day activated the device. Blue energy flowed from it into both their bodies. Jun screamed as pain tore through him. He felt his cells changing, rearranging. In his mind, he saw Hannah's memories, her childhood on Arios, her training, her first command. He felt her experiencing his memories too, his parents, his school days, his decision to become a scientist. Their thoughts merged, becoming a single consciousness with two bodies. When the pain finally stopped, Jun sat up. He could feel every cell in his body humming with new energy. His skin had a permanent blue tint now. Looking at Hannah, he saw that her skin was lighter, more human-like. But the biggest change was in their minds. They didn't need to speak anymore. They were one. It worked, they said together. Dad looked at them with awe and a little fear. What now? They stood as one. Now we create the countermeasure. We can sense the frequency of the Vorax disruption field. We can cancel it out. Working with incredible speed, they built a device that would restore the Aryans' telepathic abilities. When it was complete, they transmitted the design to Arios. We need to take this to the Vorax mothership, they said. It must be deployed at the source to be fully effective. Day shook his head. That's suicide. The mothership is at the center of their fleet. We know, they replied, but it's the only way. As they prepared to leave in a small fighter craft, a message came from Earth's command. Kim, Captain Kang, General Wilson said, our sensors show you're planning something foolish. Don't throw your lives away. They smiled with one mind. Sometimes, General, salvation requires sacrifice. The small fighter launched toward the massive Vorax mothership, dodging enemy fire. They knew they might not return. But as they flew into the heart of the enemy fleet, they felt no fear, only a deep peace that came from complete unity. Together, they would face whatever came next. Their small fighter ship dodged between massive Vorax vessels. Laser fire lit up the darkness around them. In the cockpit, June and Hannah moved as one person. They no longer needed to speak aloud. Their thoughts flowed together. The mothership is ahead, they said together, though no one was there to hear. The Vorax mothership was enormous, 10 times larger than any other vessel in the fleet. It looked like a giant black spider with legs that stretched for miles. They flew toward a small opening near the bottom of the main body. Their fighter was hit once, twice, but they kept going. Their hands moved over the controls with perfect coordination. We have to reach the central core, they thought together. That's where the disruption field is generated. They landed inside a dark docking bay. No Vorax guards were there. The enemy never expected anyone to fly directly into their mothership. Together, they carried the countermeasure device through dark corridors. The inner walls of the Vorax ship were wet and organic, like being inside a living creature. They knew where to go without looking at maps. The bond let them sense the source of the disruption field, a pulsing energy deep within the ship. When they reached a large door, 5 Vorax soldiers appeared. The aliens were tall and thin with pale skin and large black eyes. They raised their weapons. June and Hannah moved in perfect sync. They dodged the energy blasts and attacked with incredible speed. June now had Aryan strength. Hannah had human unpredictability. Together, they were unstoppable. With the guards defeated, they entered the central chamber. In the middle stood a pillar of dark energy, the disruption field generator. There, they said, pointing to the base of the pillar. They placed their device against it. The countermeasure began to glow blue, fighting against the Vorax's dark energy. Suddenly, a voice spoke behind them. Fascinating. They turned to see a Vorax commander. Unlike the soldiers, this one wore a metal suit with tubes connecting to its head. A human and an Aryan, sharing one mind, the commander said. You are exactly what we've been trying to create. The perfect hybrid. You won't succeed, they replied. Your fleet is about to lose its advantage. The Vorax laughed, a cold, mechanical sound. This ship is about to self-destruct. None of us will survive. But our scientists have already collected enough data from your worlds. We will return, stronger than before. The commander raised a weapon, But June and Hannah were faster. Using their combined abilities, they knocked the Vorax down. Alarms began to sound throughout the ship. Red lights flashed. "Self-destruct sequence initiated," said a mechanical voice. 5 minutes to detonation. Their device was still fighting against the disruption field. They couldn't leave yet. "We need 3 more minutes for the countermeasure to fully deploy," they said. The ship shook violently. Parts of the ceiling fell around them. 2 minutes to detonation. Finally, their device glowed bright blue, overwhelming the dark energy. The disruption field collapsed. Immediately, they felt the telepathic network of the Aryan fleet reconnect. Across space, Aryan ships began to coordinate their attacks with new precision. "It worked," they said, "but we won't make it out in time." 1 minute to detonation. They held hands, at peace with their fate. They had saved both their worlds. "We are one," they thought, "in life and in death." 30 seconds to detonation. Suddenly, the wall behind them exploded. A small Aryan rescue ship appeared in the opening. "Get in," shouted Da from the cockpit. "Now." They ran for the ship, jumping aboard just as the floor beneath them began to collapse. "Go," they shouted. The rescue ship shot out of the mothership seconds before it exploded in a massive ball of fire. The blast wave hit them, sending their small vessel tumbling through space. When June opened his eyes, he was in a medical bay. But not on the Talon. The room looked human-designed. "Welcome back," said General Wilson, standing by his bed. "You've been unconscious for 3 days." "Hannah?" June asked, his voice weak. "I'm here," she said from the bed next to his. Her skin was still lighter than normal, more human-like. June reached for her hand. Their minds still connected, but not as completely as before. "The Vorax?" he asked. "Defeated," Wilson said. "When their mothership exploded, their entire fleet retreated. The Aryans say they won their battle too, thanks to your countermeasure." "What happens now?" Hannah asked. Elder Son entered the room. "Now we build something new. The Council has approved an official alliance with Earth, and you two will be the first ambassadors." "Us?" June asked, surprised. "Who better?" The Elder replied. "Neither fully human nor fully Aryan. You represent what our peoples can become together." 6 months later, June and Hannah stood on the balcony of their new home, a station built in space between Earth and Arios, the first joint human-Aryan outpost. June still had blue-tinted skin. Hannah still had more human features than other Aryans. Their bond remained, though it had changed. They could be apart now, up to 1 light-year distance. But they chose to stay together. "Look," Hannah said, pointing to a distant star. A message had come from that direction. A new civilization, also under threat from the remaining Vorax forces. "They need help," June said. Hannah nodded. "And we know more about fighting the Vorax than anyone." They looked at each other, no words needed. Their new ship waited in the docking bay, a vessel built with both human and Aryan technology. Their crew was ready, a mix of both species. Their journey was just beginning.